So today, we're going to dive deep into the incredible political architecture of India. I mean, how exactly do you govern a country with that much diversity? Let's get into the very unique system that was designed to hold it all together.
Right. Let's just start with this massive question. How do you build a government for over 1 billion people, speaking hundreds of languages with countless different cultures? This isn't just some academic thought experiment. It's the real-world puzzle that India's entire government was designed to solve. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll cover the basics of what federalism even is. Then we'll look at India's very special quasi-federal model. We'll see how power gets divided up, find out where the central government gets its extra muscle, see how it all plays out today, and finally get into why this delicate balancing act is so incredibly important. Okay, let's get right to it. First things first, what exactly is federalism? You can think of this as the original vision, the master blueprint from the architects who designed the whole thing. You know, at its heart, federalism is basically like a two-story house. You've got the national or central government on one level, and then you have all the regional or state governments on another. Now here's the most important part. Both floors get their power from the exact same place, the Constitution. That's the building's official blueprint, and it means one level can't just decide to get rid of the other. So that's the standard model. But India didn't just grab some off-the-shelf blueprint. Nope, it created its own custom design, something pretty unique. And this right here is the key to understanding everything. India's system is described as quasi-federal. Let's use an analogy for this explainer. Think of it like a huge family home. The states are kind of like adult children. They have their own rooms, their own responsibilities. But the central government, the union government, is the parent. And ultimately, the parent has a stronger say in how the whole house is run. And what's really interesting is where India fits in globally. You've got the United States on one end, which is a more purely federal system where states have a ton of autonomy. On the other end, you've got the United Kingdom, a unitary system where the central government is totally supreme. India? It carves out this fascinating middle path, a federal structure for sure, but with a definite tilt towards a strong central authority. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't just a casual description. The term quasi-federal was actually made famous by the political scientist Casey Weir. He saw that India's model just didn't fit neatly into the usual boxes. It's a hybrid, custom-built for India's one-of-a-kind situation. So, back to our family home analogy. How are the chores and responsibilities actually divided up? Let's take a quick tour of the different rooms to see how power is shared between the parent and the adult children. Well, the architects of the Constitution were pretty organized. They split all the major legislative powers into 3 distinct lists. And here's that division. First, you have the Union list. This is for the big national stuff, like defense and foreign affairs. Clearly the parent's job. Then there's the state list for more local things like police and agriculture. And finally, you have the concurrent list. Think of this one as the shared kitchen. Both the center and the states can make laws on things like education or forests. But, and this is a huge but, if their laws conflict, the parent, the union government, gets the final say. Of course, to make sure this house doesn't fall down, you need a really solid foundation, and India has one. There's a supreme written constitution. That's the blueprint everyone has to follow. There's an independent judiciary to act as an impartial referee when family disputes pop up. And there's a bicameral legislature, which basically means the states get their own voice in the central government through the upper house. Okay, now for the plot twist. We've seen the federal setup, the shared power, but what gives the center its powerful, unitary edge? For that, we need to go down to the basement and check the main fuse box. And here they are, the master controls. The center holds all residuary powers, meaning if a subject isn't on any list, it automatically belongs to the center. There's only one constitution and one type of citizenship for everyone, which helps build that national identity. And then there are the emergency provisions, which basically let the parent take full control when things go seriously wrong in the house. The biggest master control of all is Article 356, also known as President's Rule. You can think of this as the ultimate override switch. It literally allows the central government to dismiss a state government and take direct control. Now, it's a hugely controversial tool, meant only for real emergencies, but it's been used over 100 times, and it shows you, without a doubt, where the ultimate power in this family home really lies.
Okay, so that's the blueprint of the house. But how does the family actually live together today? Because this relationship isn't frozen in time. It's constantly changing and evolving. The whole thing started with that foundational design we just talked about. But over the years, a couple of other dynamics have really come to the forefront. We've seen a big push for what's called cooperative federalism, where everyone tries to work together. And more recently, there's been this idea of competitive federalism, where the states are actually encouraged to compete against one another. So cooperative federalism is kind of like a big family meeting. The center and all the states get together around the table to plan something huge that affects everyone, like a big family vacation. The perfect real-world example is the GST Council, where the central and state finance ministers all have to collaborate on the country's tax system. And just like any family meeting, yeah, it can get a little tense with arguments over money, but the goal is to reach a decision together. Competitive federalism, though, is a bit different. It's more like a friendly sibling rivalry. The central government often encourages the states to compete with each other, to see who can attract the most investment or who can make it easiest to do business. The whole idea is to get everyone to up their game, which helps the entire country grow.
All right, let's bring it all home. After looking at all these moving parts, why does this complicated, sometimes messy, but delicately balanced system even matter? Well, this setup isn't just some random design. It's an absolute necessity for India. It's the only way to manage such incredible diversity, by giving regions a sense of autonomy while still keeping the nation strongly united. It brings democracy closer to the people and makes it possible to actually administer such a vast and complex country.
But of course, it's not perfect. Like any family, there are constant squabbles. There are tensions over how money is shared or over the role of state governors, who are appointed by the center. These issues often create friction. So maintaining that delicate balance between a strong parent and independent adult children, well, that's a constant work in progress. And that really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Is India's unique quasi-federal system a brilliant compromise that has managed to hold an impossibly diverse country together for over 75 years? Or is it a design that just creates a constant source of tension between the central government and the states? The real answer is probably a bit of both.